This vision from Chinese state media, the People's Daily, shows the crash site. Local media reports the Boeing 737, operated by Chinese Eastern Airlines, went down in Guangxi province. Well, let's get the latest now with our East Asia correspondent Bill Birtles out of Taipei. Bill, what can you tell us?
Well, Manny, a major rescue operation is now underway this evening with about 300 firefighters deployed to that mountainous area in Guangxi province where this plane went down. But to be honest, from all that we understand about this crash, the chances of people surviving it seem very slim. This was a China Eastern's Boeing 737-800. It is the most common passenger jet in China, flying from the southwestern city of Kunming to the metropolis of Guangzhou. Now, the plane was in mid-flight at around 30,000 feet when, according to some reports and some flight radar data, it dropped very rapidly from the sky, crashing into that mountainous area, triggering a forest fire at the scene. Earlier reports from state media said that rescue crews were in the vicinity, but clearly they hadn't been able to access the actual crash site. We've just heard in the last few minutes that rescue crews now are at the crash site. They have recovered debris, but as I said, there is no clear indication of whether or not there would be any survivors. But looking at the circumstances, Manny, not particularly likely.
Now, Bill, President Xi Jinping has reacted to this incident. What's he had to say?
Well, he says he's shocked by the crash of this China Eastern domestic flight, and he's ordered an all-out rescue effort. These are the sort of things you would expect the Chinese leader to say, but he also is not requesting, he's demanding that local officials and aviation officials properly handle the aftermath. And I suppose that is alluding to the great interest that is going to be in the cause of this crash. We know that Boeing, with its 787 or 737 MAX jets, had some problems previously in other countries. Now, this is a 737-800, so it doesn't appear to be the same issue, but it's the same company. There's going to be a lot of questions about that. Also, too, was it pilot error? These are the sorts of things that the investigators are going to be looking at. And just given the circumstances, China hasn't had a crash for 11 years in its domestic aviation market. I think a lot of people will be shocked by this and demanding answers.
Now, you mentioned the last time that they saw something like this was about 11 years ago. How has China's aviation industry developed in the last few years?
Well, to be honest, people are asking about the safety record, and yes, there was a domestic passenger plane crash 11 years ago in 2010 up in the northeast. Today's crash with 132 people on board, if indeed those people have died in this accident, then it would actually be the worst aviation disaster in China since 1992, when a slightly more full Boeing jet crashed also in Guangxi province. Now, yeah, this does seem like there have been, several fatal accidents over the years, but you have to understand, over the past decade, China's aviation market has absolutely ballooned. It's now either the biggest or the second largest in the world, with or after the US. COVID has obviously disrupted domestic flights in both countries. So the point is, there is now a huge number of passengers crisscrossing China on a daily basis. So yes, this is the second crash in 11 years, but I think up until today, there was a pretty widespread assumption that actually China's domestic aviation record these days is pretty good.
Bill Birtles reporting there live from Taipei. Thank you.